What's up, people? Welcome to the Boom Boom Room. I'm your host, Ron Slade, Mr. Boom Boom Room himself, man. And stepping into the Boom Boom Room today, we have the legendary coach himself right here from Nashville, Tennessee. Back-to-back state champion. The accolades going on and on, in full motion. It's so much, man. It's so much. Father figure, mentor, coach, husband, man of God. Hey, man. I ain't got enough time to say all the listings that fall up under his name, man. But this right here is a special guest, Coach Maurice Fitzgerald. Let me bring him in the Boom Boom Room. Let me get us on. Coach, how you doing, baby?
What's going on, Slizzo? What's happening, man?
I finally got you in the Boom Boom Room. Finally got you in here.
Yeah, it seemed like I was conjured into coming in here, and but I'm peacock proud to be in here.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, man. So we're gonna jump straight into this thing. You freshly retired. You know what I mean? You stepped away from the game at Hillsborough. That was your last stop. Tell me a little bit about what made you step out. And in this interview, we're gonna hop around a little bit. So it won't be no format. This is just be us talking in general. Yeah. You are in the Boom Boom Room. The door's locked. Big Ma, you can't get out, baby, till I get you out. So you in.
Well, in retrospect, looking back on it, it was really sort of planned. I know when I took the job, coming from Stratford, the principal asked me would I be there for at least 4 years, and I told him I would. And that's one thing that you always try to do. You always try to keep your word about whatever you say you're going to do. And also, in the meantime, we were making plans and preparations to have my successor. That's what really important that I did. And all during the time, we're planning for Coach Anthony Brown to be the next head coach at Hillsborough High School. So we planned strategically. Things kind of worked out. Certainly, he's well deserved. He's more than capable. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a great coach, do a great job.
Yeah, he's from Nashville here also. A lot of people may know him as Meatloaf. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Meatloaf. You know, he's on that Music City. He's part of that Music City Players. You know, Music City Players, the greatest AE organization ever come out of Nashville.
Yeah,
so we let him slide. We let some of those Glen Cliff boys slide, like Kenza, Meatloaf. Yeah. I think Matt Gray.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the ones that from Glen Cliff. So we try to spread the love, you know.
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it, man. So take me through your journey. Give me a little bit of you, your upbringing, Big Ma. Like, let's take people behind the curtains. Let's step outside the coaching realm and let's go back. Take me through your upbringing and let's get into the player of who Coach Fitzgerald. Let's Maurice Fitzgerald was.
Yeah, well, was born in Franklin, Tennessee. We stayed there until I was about 5 years old. Then we moved to Nashville. I was raised in South Nashville. Went to Merle Elementary. Mm-hmm. Then we went to Rose Park. I was staying on Benton Street, across the street from the great mowers with Leon, Wayne, Harold, Robert, great tennis player Sandra, Miss Moore, Miss Mabel Moore, great tennis player, Mr. Leroy Moore, great golf. So they had all these great athletes across the street. So I stayed down Benton, the house, the car on fire burned down, we were renting, and then we moved to Edge Hill, stayed in Edge Hill. About 6 years. And I used to tell everybody, you know, like, man, where you live? I said, don't worry about it, but guess what? I got a swimming pool, I got a tennis court, I got a basketball court. Man, where you live in Belleville? I said, yeah, I live in the condominium. You want to come over there sometime, you can. So I really enjoyed it, man. Over there, you know, it was cool. Mm-hmm. It was cool. You mind your business, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So when did you fall in love with sports?
Well, I grew up playing sports, football. I played junior pro football. I didn't really play during middle school, and when I got to high school, my brother, he threatened me. He said, you know, man, if you don't play football, I'm beating you up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and so next thing you know, I was out there with Hume Fall. It wasn't any high school started in 10th grade then, and middle school was 7th, 8th, and 9th. So as a 10th grader, I went out for football and we did pretty good. I seemed to like it. And then my senior year, I played baseball and basketball. My basketball career, I was averaged about 8 rebounds my senior year, about 4 points, and about 8 fouls. So I was going at people, man. You know, they put me out there. You know, you're gonna get beat up.
Right.
So, but I like basketball. I liked all three. I like baseball. I really enjoyed baseball. Yeah. A lot of our youth need to play more baseball in the inner city, because when I was growing up, we had a lot of things going on in the city with baseball. So after that, you know, that's when I decided. I had a couple of friends. They wanted to walk on at Tennessee State. I didn't even know what Tennessee State was, to be honest. So I just went out there with them just to go out there. So when I got out there during the summer, we started working out, running, and so forth, and conditioning. Then about midway through, they said, well, man, we're going to Knoxville College. I said, man, I don't even know what Knoxville is. So they left and went to Knoxville College. And I wound up staying at Tennessee State as a walk-on. I was weighing 175 pound defensive end.
Wow!
And we would run a track for time. All the guys know about running track and running time. So when we got ready to run, I stepped up to the line, and then he said, "No, coach said, no, you got to run with the defensive backs." I said, man, I'm a defensive end, man. What's your problem? So, but I was just 175 pounds.
Right. So you take that, and I wanna touch on something. So I did a little research. What is in full motion, and what brought in full motion? What brought that about? Because I know it was a big part into what I was able to do as far as, you know, going to be able to be ready to take the ACT and move on, and that not be anything like a speed bump, and, you know, me excelling as far as being able to go to college and things of that nature. Was it something back then that made you jump into in full motion and really want to give back to kids as far as getting them and knowing how much the academics part of it was in a sense lacking in our community? But you guys diving into that with in full motion, how much did that help and guide you to doing in full motion, maybe grades back then?
Well, it actually started with you guys when you know, when you all playing AAU basketball, we knew the significance and importance of taking your ACT test and passing and making a grade on it that would allow you to not be ineligible for your first year. Right. So when we started, that was a requirement that you practice your ACT test before, if you can remember, before you even practiced. Yep. So we indoctrinated that into our program. And after that, we said, well, you know, I think this needs to be something that all students can take advantage of. And that's when we got our 501c status, and we knew that down the line would be a problem. It would be a barrier for students that they were able to be academically eligible. Right. So we started that, and it just grew. You know, it grew from you guys. You know, at our peak, you know, at per home, sometimes we would have 500 kids.
Easy.
In the morning. And all over some different counties. Never had one fight. And we serviced probably about 15,000 kids. And it was only one child I had to put out for being disrespectful. So I guess that's pretty good odds.
No, that's great odds right there, man. That is great odds. So let's go back to your beginning at Tennessee State University. You walk on, and in this time, not only, I don't know if you know what you're walking into, but the history that was laid at TSU and that was developing now, like it's when they say golden era, like that foundation that you guys laid at Tennessee State University with Coach Merritt, guys like yourself. Talk about that. Talk about that camaraderie, the family that you were walking into at Tennessee State, especially on the football field.
Yeah, I think that there's probably never been a coaching staff that good with Coach Merritt, Coach Joe Gilliam, Coach Alvin Cat Cole. And those three formed a tremendous coaching staff. And when I was there, I can remember Coach Merritt, which was the greatest politician, the greatest salesman. If he had social media now, I mean, I don't know how much money that NIL, with the name, image, and likeness, it was dead, and he was coming, he'd be a superstar. And he had to be that way. We didn't have the luxuries of having, a training tape and all these things. I can remember, guys like Clint Gray, he went to Clint Gray and made sure we had food and bologna sandwiches after practice and juice, all those things that he had to manufacture. You didn't have sponsorships like they do now.
Right.
But I can remember going in office and after going through this practice and summer practice and into the fall, he brought me in and said, you're the first one that's ever got a scholarship from a walk-on. Right. I'm like, man, I feel like on cloud nine.
Yeah.
And at that time, they had all the coaches in one office. And it was about 8 coaches in there. And, man, it looked like the fog when you go into UT sometimes. You see all that fog.
Yeah.
Man, it was so much smoke in that city. God, man, you didn't know where you were, man. You're like, man. This man, and I'm getting secondhand smoke, man. I mean, what's going on? But I was so happy to hear, baby. You ought to be happy. You the first one got a scar. He said, hell, go tell your mom and grandma, hell, baby, tell them to go parade for you. I'm like, God. Because he was unique. Nothing like it. It was nothing like Coach Vic. Yelling because it was a strict disciplinarian. Mm-hmm. I mean, we knew not to, act out. We knew not to class. And that's why so many guys, especially on the defensive side of football, graduated. Because when you didn't go to class, you had to pay fines. You could either roll them off or you could pay them off. You could pay money. You get a laundry fee. I think they're like $15 a month. Wow. And for missing class, it's like $1.
Yeah.
Help is like $1. So it accumulated over a period of time. When you got that $15, you either roll it off.
Yeah.
That's 2 steps and roll, 2 steps roll. You could do that, or you could pay it off. And in return, what it did, it created a defensive fund.
Yeah.
So he created a defensive fund for people that had to pay their fines off. Right. So if you wanted to couldn't get home, you could borrow money from the defensive fund. The only thing, man, I think it was about 20% interest, man. So you didn't really want to do that. So, but they were so innovative in doing and bringing to Tennessee State. The players that were there, and like I said, from a walk-on to my last year, was able to, make a couple All-American teams. Mm-hmm. Was invited to the Black College All-Star game, which was in New Orleans. That was great. Myself with a couple of my teammates, and then to we signed a free agent contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. Mm-hmm. Wasn't quite good enough, but man, it was a hell of a 5-week job.
Right.
Right. I mean, had to eat free, everything. And it was great, man. And the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, and one good thing, they had a trial for the Philadelphia Eagles cheerleaders. Man, it was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Everybody looked like Cockeyed Joe. They were looking everywhere, man. So it was a good deal, man, to have that experience, being a professional athlete for a little while anyway.
Hey man, I tell people all the time. I remember when I was working out with the Denver Nuggets, and I was doing the summer league, and I remember this time we was they had us, they were paying for the hotel and everything to go back, but this was my first time being introduced to the training table. So they were coming to me and telling me, hey man, like you don't have to get all this food and take it back with you, dog. Like it's gonna be here. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, coming from where we come from, all this food, I need to get as much as I can to take back to the room with me, man. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I get you, man, because I definitely wasn't used to that. When you go through the training table in the morning and they're asking you how you want your steaks cooked,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, are they for real? How you want your eggs prepared? I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just unbelievable.
That's different, man. That is different. So you transition, you leave Tennessee State University, and you left it in a better spot than what you found it. And that, I think, outside of that, even though like you got Vanderbilt University here, you know, you got a lot of colleges, Fisk, Belmont, Lipscomb, Trevecca, all these schools that are here. What you guys did for Tennessee State University, like when you think about Nashville, I know me personally growing up, when you thought about Nashville, the first thing you thought about immediately was Tennessee State University. Wasn't no question what it was. So speak about that, man.
Oh, I it was great. I met your dad there when I was a senior. I think he was a freshman coming in.
Yep.
Wheel drill, one run. Wheel drill, covered in Tennessee. Yeah. And I thought he was an offensive lineman. He was a running back. Like, man, beat up boys, especially down in the country.
Yeah.
Then my girl, Lolo Slade.
Yeah.
Chattanooga.
Yep.
Chattanooga, and we all, just family, man. We had so much fun and camaraderie and friendship and loyalty. It was not a bad day at Tennessee State, except when you had to roll. Right. But besides that, I mean, all you had to do, it taught you perseverance, taught you loyalty, and one thing that Coach Gillen always told us, if you just got up and went to class, he said, there's no way that you can be successful past if you landed in bed.
Right.
So the ones that graduated Tennessee State, they got up. They got up and they went to class. I can remember one time, Dr. Bobby Jones was our instructor, man. It was snowing out there, man. I looked out the window, I'm like, man, ain't no way class. And I got to thinking, I said, yeah, but if I go to class, there's a chance that it might be a class and may get extra credit. And I did. It was about 2 of us in the class, 2 or 3 of us. And he said, guys, y'all made a sacrifice, a commitment to get up in the snow and get out here. And I tell you what, I'm going to reward you guys. You don't have to worry about it. You all definitely will have at least a B. And I'm like, man, just for going through the snow and perseverance and getting up and showing some fortitude and desire to say, hey, I'm going to get it no matter what. And a lot of those traits and things that were at Tennessee State, that you didn't have the best of anything, but you had the best of each other.
Right.
And right now, I can call a guy no matter, I hadn't seen him in 20, 30, 40 years, and get on the phone, and it's just like yesterday because our hearts were knitted together because we believed in the big blue. I mean, we did.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your transition to coaching. What made you want to get back in? What made you want to get into coaching? And it didn't go directly to high school, did it? Or was it junior pro, Gray Mar? Like, build it up for me. Tell me about all the days.
Well, when, as it being at Tennessee State, I always, looked at Coach Gillen as a great mentor, a man of tremendous character, discipline, and all of it. Coach Merritt, the way he was able to manipulate things, how he was able to dissect things, how he was able to influence Coach Coleman, how he was so consistent and so smart and made all the right moves as far as detail and how you move and how you're able to be able to just analyze things. That was Coach Coleman. Right. So all those things, man, that you heard every day for 5 years, man. I mean, there was no off season. I mean, you were always conditioning, and you believed in that. You believed in conditioning. You believed in going hard and never quitting. So those things I tried when I started probably my last year. I started kind of coaching with some junior pro and some baseball and umpiring. And then I got in with my son, Buck, when he got old enough to play junior pro basketball. I can remember, just like most parents, I'm out there, I'm like, man, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Yeah. And my wife, Cynthia, she said, well, why are you complaining you're not doing anything in the bed. All you're doing is criticizing. You need to be out there doing so. I'm like, that to the heart.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I will. That's when I took over the team in junior pro, started getting local kids, and just, Terry Reynolds, God bless him, and all you guys, you and Buck and Owen Morrell and Josh, all those guys, G-Thing, and all those guys, man. The great Sam Howard. People don't know that Sam Howard Vanderbilt. Man, he played. Man, all those guys, man. LaSantia Berry. I mean, Doug, Big Doug, Doug Rollins. We had all those guys, man, that played junior pro. And then what happened? They just transitioned into playing AAU. And of course, AAU, man, we were a local team. We had some great stars that kind of sprinkled in from some nearby counties like Trent House, Marcus, Maven, and those guys, man, that we picked up and just had a tremendous program. Everybody knew about the Music City Players. We had Miss Starling coming in singing and all those. We just had it going, man. We had it rocking, man. We had the best uniforms. We traveled. We flew everywhere. Took a lot of the football players that were playing football. They were able to travel with us. Big Rick, God bless his soul, Big Al, Carlos, all the guys traveled with us.
So that's what I wanted to speak to too before we got it all the way deep into it too. Like the family, you're definitely a family man, and you've been more of an example. For guys that you have been able to bring. You talk about kids that come from sometimes broken homes. Sometimes, when I say broken home, that's just the term as far as it being a single mother there or a single father there, however it may be. But a two-parent home, you were able to do and open up your home. And that all trickled down to what you created in sports. That same family model that you had at home was something that you took to sports and was able to look at. And I think that's why a lot of kids that came up under your tutelage were able to lock in, and be able to lean on that.
We wanted to make sure that, that if we could give a child that, and anyone that was in our home, that they could experience that. Cynthia and I, she has a lot to do with it because, we've been together 45 years, we're married 42 years. So you had a mother and a father in the household, and everybody got treated the same in there, So if you came over to the house, there were rules. We never had an issue, never had a problem with any of you guys coming over. I mean, you lived with us. Some more guys that stayed there for extended periods of time, nephews, Terrell and those guys, Marvin, they lived with us years. So we always had extra guys in the house. That was not uncommon for us to do, to have some of the players and Bucks and Marcus and Brian and Pump and all those guys and their friends. So it wasn't an issue. It never was a big thing. We thought that that's something that we were supposed to do. It wasn't an exception to the rule. It was a normalcy that we felt that our responsibility to try to help just a little bit. We didn't have a whole lot, but what we had, that I think it was important that we shared it. And when Buck came from St. Pius, I think he helped change a culture. He doesn't give enough credit for what he did for Pearl Cone coming from St. Pius and creating a different culture as far as academics, and that was one important thing that people didn't know, that the football team that won the first state championship, our GPA was higher than any other group of students in the school. We had extremely smart guys. People, they had great athletes, and no, we were smarter than everybody. We did things the right way, and we were disciplined. So, a lot of people try to find ways of saying how did they do it and why did they do it and how were they successful. So we're just smart, y'all.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to ask you, you have been coaching your sons leading up all the way from junior pro, but now that you step in high school and able to coach your son, there's a different light that shined on it, and that's not always a good light. How were you able to handle that and kind of navigate your way through that world of being able to be coach and also be dad at the same time, but having having a barrier there to be able to separate the two, or did you merge them together? And how did you navigate that? That's what I'm asking.
I don't ever remember it being an issue. The only issue that we really had was trying to get Buck to play quarterback.
Right.
And know that for us to be successful, he definitely wasn't the best quarterback, but he was the best leader that could play quarterback. There was an extremely good defensive back, all-state defensive back. But as far as his throwing and all that, wasn't the best, but I know he could lead a team. So I had, in order for us to take the next level or go to the next level, we had to find a quarterback that had leadership capabilities. Right. And I knew he had it. Right. So the biggest thing that we had to do was convince his mama to allow him to play quarterback. We riding home. So I said, Buck, man, we get to the table tonight, man, we're going to have to break it to her. Like, can't get to play quarterback. He's like, man, that's going to be hard. I said, yeah, I know, man, but you got to stick with me, man. You can't just bag out when I see you play quarterback. So we're sitting at the table, and I'm hee-hawing around. I said, man, we could have a good team, but, we got to get a quarterback and everything. And I said, what do you think about Buck playing quarterback? And I can remember her saying, oh, no way. No way. I said, why? She said, I seen the way your guys block. You ain't getting my son. I was like, oh. And so Buck kind of talked to her and said he was going to get the linemen straight and he's going to make sure that they block for him. Yeah. And that's the only reason he got to play quarterback, because she definitely wasn't going to let him play quarterback.
Hey, that's hilarious, man. That led to starting the journey of a state championship. But before we even get to that point, talk about what you inherited moving over to Pearl Cone, and that because you had a lot of guys right there.
First of all, nobody wanted the job at Pearl Cone. Nobody wouldn't take it.
Right.
And when they asked me to take it, I'm like, no, because see, when I was at Hillsboro, defensive coordinator, we played Pearl Cone that year. Maybe the last game of the year, maybe the next to last game. And I think the score was like 43-0. So then after the season and playoffs and everything, they come and ask me to take Pearl Cone. I'm like, man, I can't. I don't want to go with that. I mean, what? Nothing, man. What? So the guy kept asking everything, and started talking with my wife, and she said, well, why don't you give it a try? I'm like, man, that's suicidal, man.
Yeah.
So I went over there, and of course, things were pretty bad. You get pretty bad. You had a group of kids coming from 3 different areas. I was good with having kids come from the project, but you had kids come from Preston Taylor, John Henry Hill, and Dodge City. And AJ.
And AJ, yeah.
So you had an accumulation of people that really never truly got along. They don't really know why they didn't. They just didn't because they thought that was the way you're supposed to be.
Right. They never had to coexist in one area.
They didn't have anything to make it a centralized piece where we're going to all buy in to this one thing to be successful. So you had these kids from all different areas of the city that really, like I said, they didn't even really know why they didn't care for one another. So I think football at Pearl Cone was able to do things culturally that ordinarily couldn't have gotten done just from attending there as a student.
Right.
Oh, I can remember us, starting to hear the team that wasn't very good. I think they won in the 8 years or 9 years previously. I think they had probably won those 9 years, probably about maybe 20 games or something. I mean, it was bad. Like I said, they were getting beat pretty bad. So we inherited, but we went to work. We got there, and there's some guys that I had even got as a professor now at Tennessee State, Andre Bean, and some of those guys. You could tell they weren't bad players. They just hadn't really been coached to a point where they could be successful.
Right.
that's where we were, and we were handed that, and they didn't look the part. They didn't look like a team. They didn't really have the uniforms and all these kind of things. I mean, so it was hard, So you had to be a fundraiser. You had to be a lot of things that they didn't have. They thought that's the way they're supposed to look. That's the way they're supposed to act. So like I said with Buck, and then and Big John, got him to come. He could have gone anywhere, but him coaching him in AAU. So we had an inside track with he and Andre. And there was once you start getting some players, then others will follow. And then you came over and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But it was very difficult because of the climate and the commitment to excellence you didn't have. So you had to build that, and it was not just like you had to build it a little bit each and every day. It wasn't like a week to week. It was a day by day process.
Yeah.
We had to. We had to buy into it, and they had to buy into it, and they had to see it in us.
Yeah.
They're not going to believe a lot of times in us or themselves if they don't believe in us and they don't see us doing it. Right. They don't see us walking the walk and talking the talk. Right. You got to walk it. You got to walk it, and they got to see it. So you can't fool the guys. Are you successful? Whatever. You can't fool the students. They know that you care about them, and they'll do so much more if they know that you really care and that you love them. Right. And then you can discipline. You can't discipline a child, if they know that you don't love them. Right. So that's an issue.
Right. So you then, before we get on this back-to-back state title run, you came in and implemented a couple of things that were not normal. As far as guys' first day of school, we need you in shirt and tie, things like this.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I did.
And we were very, very sincere and diligent about making sure that we looked the part, because first of all, it's all in perception. And if a teacher see you and see a shirt and tie, they're perceiving that you're going to do right, that you're not going to be an issue in the classroom,
right,
that you're going to be distracted and destructive, and that you're going there to learn and be productive. So the first thing they do, they see these guys in a group. They see 60 kids in shirt and tie, in white shirt and tie. Right. Every once in a while, somebody come in there with, a little off. Yeah. But what we did, we said we want about 2 or 3 guys to make sure y'all bring, a small guy, you bring an extra a white shirt and tie, a medium-sized guy. So we had like several, sizes in there for guys, and some guys just didn't have it. They come to you like, Coach, I don't have a shirt and tie.
Right.
We had guys that would supplement that. They would bring them, so we had shirt and tie, so everybody felt good, because it was guys came that morning, Coach, and khakis.
Yeah.
You went shirt and tie and
jeans or nothing like that. Yeah.
I mean, blue jeans, shirt and khakis, and white shirt, khakis, and tie. And we did that, every year, and people, they begin to like it, and they begin to expect it. And that, I think that was our persona, that, hey, that this is where we can look. We can look like, we're about business. You got to look the part. And then there again, like I said, that people, the perception that these guys are different. Yeah. So if they believe you're different, the chances are they're going to treat you differently. So we got treated differently, and we got a lot of respect, and a lot of people look, I mean, it was impressive. They never seen anything like that. So that kicked the year off right, by putting up an implant in the mind of people that they're about business, they're about education, they're about successful, and they're gonna look the part and act the part. If you looking good, real chance you're gonna act crazy.
Yeah. And that was a big part of it. Like little details like that, implementing that, I think that gave the upperclassmen, it separated it right away. The leaders on the team and the guys coming in, to be able to hold them accountable. That accountability went a long way.
Exactly. Rite of passage, because when you came in that first day, traditionally, it was a time to act a fool, do something real, out of the ordinary, or be real silly, look at me. But when you got 60 guys that the big guys and pretty much the leaders in the school that are acting one way and all sitting together create a force.
Yep.
So it created the atmosphere and the discipline of the school. It kind of changed because all the per se bad guys and big guys, they weren't acting crazy. Everybody else was looking around. Well, they're not acting crazy, and they're telling people not to act crazy. It's something that we can follow. It's a good blueprint.
Exactly.
Remember that, Ron. Matter of fact, I'd forgotten all about that. But yeah, now that I think about it, man, it was pretty significant.
Yeah, without doubt. So now we're going into the season, man. We're going into this 96 state championship. We got all the ingredients. You finally getting it together. You got Buck coming in as a leader. This is his last hurrah, last run. Still, in a sense, it ain't really. I think the players that started to grow to believe, and Kim Gates, linebacker, always tell the story about, when you took him to the state championship game the year before, and he was like, man, coach, we're going to be in this game next year. We're going to be in this game, But the funny thing is, if you say it enough, like you pounded it enough for the kids to start believing in themselves, you got to be crazy a little bit to believe some stuff that you can do. And I think it got embedded in guys like Gates and Buck and everybody like, dude, we can really do this, and it trickled down. So now it's no longer you having to push it. You might have to come in every now and then and push them over the edge to get them there, but it was the guys being accountable and holding each other. So how did that year start off? What did you think about the year in the beginning?
I think it was infectious. I think the year before, of course, we had a winning season, 2 years before that, and we were in the playoffs. And so we were happy, and this was, I think, our third year going to the playoffs, third year. So it was I remember taking guys to the Clinic Bowl, the state championship, to experience that atmosphere, to experience how it felt, experience, the highs and lows and the momentum changes and the ebb and the flow of the game. We experienced all that, and I had about 6 or 7 guys with me that were the leaders. And so they came back with a different perspective and outlook on how champions look and how champions act. So we started out the season, we were pretty good. We won our first 2 games, and then, unfortunately, Carlos Watkins went down with a severe ankle injury that wound up keeping him out for, probably 13 weeks. And we were 2-0. He went down, and it was like, man, that really crushing. So we didn't really know what to do, but we had a guy named Santonio Beard, and we were running a wing T then, and he really didn't like the wing T. And although he was really the upback, which the fullback, which got the ball the most, he kept just kind of moving back and back. And I'm like, man, you need to be about 3 yards off the ball, 4 yards off the ball. He kept moving back, and I'm like, man. So he ran one play. I'm like, man, this guy is not a wing T guy. He's an eye guy. So I was like, we got to do something. We got to change. So in the meantime, we're going through all this. We lost 4 straight games. We won 2, and then we lose the next 4. And that 4th loss was to Father Ryan. And they had us 31-0 at halftime. And I think at that point, I just looked at the guys like, man, we lost some games, but nothing like this. You're not showing any pride. You're not showing any heart. You're showing any commitment of all the hard work you've gone through. And we came back out, and they beat us 31-17. They didn't score anymore. We scored 17 points. From that point on, we were a different team. We were a team that was pretty hard to deal with. During that time, we had a kid named Reggie Ridley, Big Meat. Meat was a tremendous defensive tackle, but he got hurt too. He broke his wrist. Right around the same time Carlos. So we had a great defensive player and our best back at the time, go down. So after those 4 losses, we just started chipping away. So in order for us to get to the playoffs, we had to win. We had to win our next, 5 games or whatever it was to get to the playoffs. We were 2-4. So we had to win. Our next 4 games. We had to win them. There's no question. Or we couldn't have made it to the playoffs.
Right.
In essence, every game preceding that last loss that we had, it was a playoff game. I mean, it was a playoff game for us, and they knew it. And you guys, so we were able to just win one after another, play one game at a time, game at a time.
Right.
And after looking around, man, we finished, 6-4.
Yep.
I mean, we were like, man, and so we believe so much in ourselves and each other. It's like, man, we don't care. We just gonna play. And so it took on, a lot of momentum. We just kept picking up, and fortunately we got Carlos back.
Yep.
About the second game, we played University School, and the University School had won, I think, about 45 straight games at home. So, I mean, it was pretty rough going up there. We were like, man, ain't no way, but it's gonna be rough. And we were able. I can remember going into the gate, and they said, well, we're gonna put the ambulance on y'all side, because y'all probably gonna need it. Man, we like, oh man.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like going playing NBA, because that's the kind of prestige and money that they had that they have at the Memphis University School. I mean, it's a prestigious school, a private school. It's like the NBA.
Yep.
Just like all boys. So we were able to do some exciting things, and just one win after another, and wind up going to play a team that was 14-0 in Knox Halls. I mean, they got off the bus, and all of them had all the shirt, tie, and all these jackets on. Looked like they came out of Ivy League catalog. We were like, they had their bags, and I can remember telling you guys, I said, now y'all, our bag, we had trash bags for equipment.
Yep.
Make sure that y'all put 2 bags in there, because y'all don't want those bags to bust, but y'all got them trash bags. So we get off the bus, look like the bad news bag. We got the trash bag with our equipment in, and they have all these big old bags, nice uniforms, man. We're like, oh my goodness. We were able to prevail, man. That it speaks for itself.
And that first run, man, that was a great run. Looking at it, a lot of things I think a lot of people don't know. And some of the things that took place, like you said, with Carlos Watkins going on, Los was a huge key. And I don't know, because I wasn't in the coach's room, but I know as players, and I'm sure Buck and Gates, all them upperclassmen, and John, all them people were like, man, we can still get it done. We just got to hold off till Los can get back. But the younger guys, without question, I remember me and Pump laying in the room and like, hey, dude, it might be over, man. Like, I don't know what we gonna do from this perspective, because people don't understand, man. Before Santonio got in there, Los was a guy, man. He had already had a 1,000-yard season.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a key part that we missing. Like, this, it can't even be. It's not a void to be filled, honestly. You know what I mean? But Santonio did a tremendous job of stepping in, and then, like you said, lost Big Reggie. Reggie whipping people up front at D tackle. Like, John was phenomenal. Tyrese, phenomenal. But what Big Reggie was doing up there was different.
He's a different kind of dude, man.
And I think one of the things, too, though, Big Ma, that was an intricate part, you talked about it early, was the impact Coach Gillum had on you. So you made a couple changes throughout the season and was able to get Coach Gillum over there with us. And I think that right there sparked some things also. Yeah.
Coach Gillum, we got him. He was at Stratford, and some things weren't going well over there. And we were able to he was still teaching at Stratford, and he was coming over to Pearl Cone in the afternoons and coaching. And that was a tremendous plus for us. You know, like I said, his father, he was a great defensive back, All-American at Tennessee State. So we had that, and we had another Coach Seabrooks. He played at Tennessee State as well. So we had some guys that had the pedigree.
Yeah.
And as far as players were concerned.
Yeah.
So playing, gelling together and playing. And the other important thing about all that was the last year that everybody played.
There you go. That's what I was about to hit on. Exactly.
All private playing, they private league and the public playing again. Everybody, you couldn't dodge. And
ain't no ducking.
If you were a state champion that year, you were a true state championship team because everybody had to play. The private, the public, the independent, everybody. Right. NBA, BA, everybody was in and had to play. And we were 4A, and we had to play everybody, private, public, and so you couldn't dodge anybody like now.
Right.
I think about 7 or 8 different classifications.
Yeah.
But and then they're separated even at that. But you couldn't dodge anybody.
Sure couldn't.
You had to play to win. So that was I think that was a true state championship team. And next year was, it was just lights out next year. But we knew that we were good. Even when we lost our first game, 22-23 to the NBA, which there were a lot of questionable situations at that game. And but it was funny, after we lost, I can remember T. Beard, San Antonio, coming up to me and said, "Coach, man, that ain't nothing, man. That's just a scrimmage, man. So we finna go on the road, man." So we averaged, we averaged probably 38 points and gave up, I think it was about 5 a game. So it was a pretty dominating team, man. Nobody wanted to play that team.
No, not at all, man. That right there ended in the state championship, getting into the playoffs, pitching shutouts in the playoffs. That defense just went to a whole different level. And then the quality of guys that was on the team at every spot. You almost could go too deep at every single spot, man, which is almost unheard of at a public school. Yeah,
and it's I guess one of the other significant things that the year before that, people thought we only had, I think at the end of the year, I think that for that championship game against Knox Hall, I think we dressed out 31 kids. At the end of the year, kids that, were falling off or didn't want to pay the price or what have you. So the true Firebirds at the end of the year, we had 31 kids.
Right.
We 31 kids that won that state championship against all odds.
Right.
It was against all odds. There's a lot of things going on, internally in the school and everywhere else that it was kind of just, it kind of hinders us a little bit, but we would persevere.
Yeah. And then see, it was a lot of things that also took place. Like you said, that were going on in the school, this, that, and other. But a lot of people don't know, man, that you came under fire a little bit. You came under fire, and not only you, but almost a shot at your family came under fire. How did you handle that and be able to navigate that and still staying strong? Because not only do you have the people in the school looking at you, but you got your athletes, your sons looking at you for guidance who they always been able to look at as a rock and stand on. And whether you know it or not, unconsciously, we're looking at you like, man, how big am I going to handle this? And, man, I don't know what went on behind closed doors in the bedroom, if you cried, if sitting there to hug you or what. But, man, you came out of that thing, man, you didn't waver not one bit. And I think that was something else that led to that next year being so dominant, like guys really pushing. It was bigger. It was bigger than just winning it for ourselves or the team or anything.
It brought a community together that had been always looked down upon academically, socially, athletically. It wasn't Pearl. It was Pearl Conan. And Pearl, they were known for a great basketball team. The football team were okay, but never to the extent that we were. But the Pearl Cone was a different type of situation. Oftentimes, if you're going to be who you say you are, you can't be just when things are good, when the weather is fair. There are going to be some trials and tribulations in all of our lives, and when we go through. But the biggest thing is how we come through it and how we handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you handle it in a certain way that the people around you, they're going to benefit. They're going to benefit in a mighty way.
Right.
They'll be able to see how you overcome things, how you're able to persevere, how you're able to address certain issues, how you're able to go at things the way it should be, the correct way, how to address things. And football and athletics, it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you a lot of self-discipline. It teaches you, that every game is not going to be a game that you win. Right. There are going to be situations that are going to occur that will cause you to test your faith. Mm-hmm. And the thing that in this, that if you don't have faith in God and know that He will and capable and will bring you through, you're gonna fail. You're gonna keep failing. We all fail, but the thing is, it's not a sin to be knocked down. It's a sin to stay down. That we all have to get up, dust ourselves off, and get back on the horse.
Right, and see, you're dealing with a different dynamic. We were talking about Knox Halls and them getting off the bus. They got Letterman jackets on and big bags. You got NBA, Father Ryan, Brentwood Academies, all these schools, man, dealing with a different dynamic. What you're dealing with, we talked about the four housing projects that all went to one school, man. It was a whole lot going on. So not only that being one that you had to deal with, but outside of that, it was you helped build a family-like atmosphere, like you said, throughout the school. And one person that was huge in that was Miss Jones. Miss Jones was the athletic director, and you had things you were dealing with. But at this point, man, I remember when Miss Jones lost her son, Austin, who played for you, Austin Jamie Jones. He was one that played for you, and Jamie, man, ain't nothing can be said about Jamie. But I remember going over to the house, and before me and you got out the car, I was probably 15 or 16, and I looked over you and I asked you, hey man, what I'm supposed to say? Like we're going in there, she bearing her son, like we're going over to visit at her house. And I was like, and you was like, man, you just say exactly what's on your heart, and we went in there, hugged, this, that, and the other. But that was a moment, man, that showed strength also. So we were getting strength from everywhere throughout the school, from where it be Calvin Peters, all the way to Miss Jones, all the way to Miss Scott, all the way down to Priam, the janitor. So, what I mean? It was big time then, man. Speak about the family oriented atmosphere that we had at the school outside of yourself.
Well, we had a tremendous infrastructure. We had layers of support throughout. Right. It was strategic in a way. Mm-hmm. We had people like Calvin Peters, which is one of the greatest supporters of Pearl Cone in the history of high school. Yeah. Nothing that he wouldn't do, pick up children and do all this. And this before, he even had any children. Right. And of course, he waited till he was 50 years old to start having kids. But he loved they look just like him. Boy, mm-hmm. I tell you. So, Calvin is one of a kind. There's nothing that he wouldn't do. Then you had Miss Jones that pretty much kept the girls in line. And she said, like I said, Austin, Jamie, that was my boy. Matter of fact, he was my barber. He would come over to the house and have. But it wasn't anything like him, man. He was a free spirit. Man, he brought so much. No two people are alike. Everybody, you have to see where people are, and that's where you have to deal with them wherever they are. That's where you deal with them from. That's the point of emphasis, where you start. Right. You can't bring anybody anywhere. You can't take anybody anywhere. You have to start where they are and create that relationship and forming that bond. Right. So you had Miss Scott in English. You had the custodians that we were just, everybody was in continuity. We were together. Yep. And we were able to overcome a lot of things because we had an infrastructure, man. We leaned on each other. We prayed for each other. We cried with each other. I mean, we just, everybody really believed in one cause, and that was the children. That was the kids. That was the most important. Right. The students were the most important thing. Right. And when you put them first and make sure that you were doing the right thing, you really didn't have any problems.
Yeah. So I wanna get ready to wrap it up. I don't want to hold you too long, but very seldom do we get this opportunity to get you right here on camera and hear from the man himself. So I got to hold you as long as possible. But
I want to know, man, that I remember Lowe sending myself taking you to Oak Hill Academy, driving. I don't know where, about 5 hours. I know this. We were looking. It wasn't even have any the navigation system like it is now.
Yeah.
So we looking at the map. We like, man, this right here is a shorter way. So we try to go the shortcut. Man, we end up in the mountains, man. We like, oh my God, man, that was the worst situation in my life. I like, Lord, look here. We get out of these mountains. I don't care. I said, I would not come back this way. And then when you got there in Oak Hill, I don't think they had an air conditioning room. They just had those. And when you left, we could see you looking out the window. No air conditioning, man. We left you, man, and we like, man, he's gonna be better off.
That was a mean trip, boy. I just remember riding up through that. I remember you saying, "Hey, man," I said, "They said you ain't that good coach." So, "Hey, man, you gotta pull over something. All these turns in this mountain." Hey, boy, you get car sick back there. That was funny, boy. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it's like we was like an hour and a half out the way, man. All with twists and turns. I'm like, man, I was so dizzy when I got out, man. I'm like, and Lord, just let me get out of here, man. Yeah. It's nothing to do with up there at Oak Hill, man.
No.
Play basketball and go to class.
That's it. Not a thing, man. So you looking at this, man, and everybody, we're here with Coach Maurice Fitzgerald, legendary coach. Interviewing him today in the Boom Boom Room. And to recap it a little bit, man, perseverance, accountability, sacrifice, able to push through. And one thing that family is a big piece of the puzzle for you. Also, what people don't know, I don't believe either, before those games, those Friday night games, we were at the church. You were spending the night at the church. So speak on that part. So incorporated into all of that, all of those, this big old gumbo pot is faith also. So speak on that and how big that was as far as getting guys to buy in. And that's the belief. That's where it comes from.
That was another part of the infrastructure with the LCA Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and also can't think Pastor Bobby Jones, Bobby Harris, and that's Miss Jones' brother.
Yep.
There's only one guy in that family, and of course, never can forget Miss Joyce, which is a great part of our heritage. But Bobby, man, he opened his arms in his church. They would feed us, allow us to spend the night at the church, where we got a lot of spirituality, kind of calming people down, making them think that, it's more than just football, it's life. And I think Bobby was such an integral part in what we do and what we did then, as far as helping us and providing a safe haven, making sure that we had what we needed. Those kind of people, man, they just they don't come, just every day. Those people are rare. They're special. They're God sent, and we can't thank them enough for pouring into the hearts and spirits and soul of our young people. And without them, without that cohesive unit and infrastructure that we had, never could have been successful like we were. That's we're the only team, only school that won back-to-back. The only coach that won 2 state championships. It may happen again. It may happen. Nobody thought it would happen to us. So it happened again, but certainly it hadn't happened in 20-something years now. 21, 2, or 3. 20-some odd years. So it's very hard, man. It's hard to go back-to-back anything.
Yeah.
It's hard hitting back-to-back buckets. And also, I think that we were the only program that produced a all SEC Player of the Year in basketball and an SEC Player of the Year in football in the same year from the same school.
Yep.
And you in basketball and Big Joe in football.
Yep.
That's never been done. From the same school.
Right.
And Player of the Year. So
yeah.
Kudos.
Man, salute to that. So now it's the nitty-gritty part. Now this is the part where I gotta hold your feet to the fire. And yeah, it may upset a couple people, but hey, it's the boom boom boom. That's what's supposed to happen. Right here. Best team you ever coached.
I think there's no question the last year from the kind of players and that we had returning because of experience, because of their maturity, strength, able to do so many things. Players that were able to play multiple positions, a better kicking game, a better special team players. Just better all around athletes. We established a weight program by then. So all those things, a combination of those things, that may be one of the best teams of any era.
Right. Best team you played against.
Oh man, I think that probably Tito Lee, Brentwood Academy. Tito was jacking people up, man.
Yeah.
That was my boy. God bless his soul.
Right,
man.
Right. So would that go? If the next question would be best player you played against, you coached against. Who would the best player you be that you coached against?
Probably the joke up in Springfield. Jermaine, what's his name?
Yeah, the running back, Jermaine. God. What was
Tom?
I forgot Jermaine's last name, man. I know exactly what you're talking about, though. The running back.
Yeah, man. He was rough, man.
Yeah, he was different. He was a legend within himself. Okay, yeah. Tell me, what's the biggest difference in coaching from the time when you stepped into it to the point where you're walking away from the game now? What's the biggest difference you see within not only the game itself, but the kids and the coaches and the facilities and everything else? If you can sum that up for me, what's the biggest difference from walking into the game and leaving the game now?
You just answered that yourself, man.
Yeah.
You just answered that question yourself. Strength and conditioning, nutrition, being able, the medical arena, being able to get kids back on the field much quicker, and diagnose their program, their injuries much quicker. But in retrospect, in the same way of thinking, that it's kind of tough because we were probably playing with kids that maybe had concussion. It wasn't as extent as it is now. If you have any kind of concussion signs that, right then, man, you're out for, a week or probably two in concussion protocol.
Right.
And they're not about that, in which, they shouldn't be. You should be very serious about head injuries and things like that. And so that's a good thing. But you can lose kids, and then too, I think as you get more, you have to really diagnose what's going on. If it's if it's a headache or this or that. So they have the protocol to let you know the extent of that injury. But strength and conditioning from the time years back into now, it's quite different. And also programs that extending your play and expertise in what you're doing,
right?
Like NPA Bucks program. These kids. I mean, they're the other thing that coaches used to come into schools and look for coaches and say, who do you have, and evaluate student athletes that way.
Right.
Now they don't have to do that. Kids don't even have to put on a pad. They can see kids in these different camps, and man, next thing you know, this kid is a 3, 4 star, whatever, just in camp.
Right.
They're banking on you being able, potential, whatever you think that you're going to do. But it used to be where you come in, have to look at films, have to evaluate the kid, have to take what the coach is saying.
Yeah.
And sometimes that was good and bad. There have been some coaches that have said some things about some student athletes that has hurt them in ways. So you can look at it, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Right.
So now you have to go and have to rely totally on the coaches and their coaching staff and what they're saying about, a young man or young lady.
Right.
Determine where they're going to get a scholarship or not. So they evaluate them in camp. So the camps, Riley Walden, I think he's Riley. He's got it's a lot of people that have different kind of camps and everything around here. But probably the better one, the one that's really up and coming in the country is the NPA.
Right.
And, I've seen some kids that that probably didn't even play a lot. That, they're on verge of getting scholarships.
Right.
So
it's big time.
Some of those things kids are kids. They still need the same thing. They still need love. They still need guidance. They still need correction. They still need discipline. So those things don't ever change. So that's why you can, coaches can coach in one area and the other. You kind of can remember those platforms and that you would try to build on those platforms. So those things don't change. A lot of things do, like I said, with social media. A child or a student athlete, maybe thinks he's a little better than he is because of, he's getting recognition and so forth. But kids are kids. You gotta, they want to know, do you see me? Do you hear me? And you those things the best you can. You'll be okay.
That's spot on. 2 questions before we get out of here. You alluded to it a little bit. Talk about your basketball. People don't know. A lot of people start focusing on football, but you with the Music City Players, man, and coaching the likes of a James Stewart, Tony Morrell, Josh Kelly, Buck, Big John. The list goes on, but it's 2 in particular that I want you to talk about, and I'm gonna get them on here too. They already agreed to it, but one is Marcus Maben and the other is Trent Hauser. Talk about that addition to the Music City Players, because a lot of people, they were hidden up in Clarksville. They were hidden up there, but you put them on the national stage, man.
I think that was the same. What we're talking about is the NPA and some other programs. Trent and Marcus Maben, and even Sean Mirren to an extent. You have Sean, but those 3 guys that were up in Montgomery County, they were issues. I mean, 2 of them were on the same team, Sean and Trent.
Right.
But they were phenomenal talent. And we were able to get both of those guys and put them on a big stage. And the Georgetown and Big John Thompson, all those guys was coming and sitting at our bench and being entertained by Big Rick, making big cuts.
So was.
Super Scout, big cuz, God bless his soul. And we were able to put on the big stage, we were able to play and beat the Shane Battiers of the world. I remember we played Shane Battier and the other kid from one of the kids from Memphis Bale.
Yeah.
One of the Flintstones, from Flint, Michigan. So we were able to play and compete. I mean, we regularly finished in 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, 9 in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knew about it because of the way that we dressed better, or as good as anybody up there. Had the uniforms, the warm up, the way we traveled, the way we ate, where we stayed. I mean, we were a complete organization. Yeah. And nobody really had to pay anything. You didn't have to pay any money.
Right.
I mean, and you didn't have to be a 3 or 4 star athlete. Nowadays, of course, some of the better players on the AAU teams, they don't pay anything, but everybody else do. But we out and I fundraised, and myself and Mrs. Stallings. So we were able, both Stallings, we were able to go out and fundraise and get money where you guys didn't have to pay anything. We had tennis shoes, new suits. I mean, we had it all. It wasn't anything that we wanted. And this was back in the day when it was unheard of for sponsorship.
Right.
But had, like I said, James Stewart. We had, some of the better local players. Coach at Cane Ridge, Coach Marvin Sims, all those guys, man. We had some super guys, man, that played for them, and some of the guys in the private schools that played for Derek Wickerton and all those guys, man. We were able to put some super team, and we jailed.
Yeah.
Didn't have any problems, We had a bunch of guys from Oakland. We had guys from all over Metro.
Yep. So top this off, man, and wrap this up. Now, I want you to give me, when you walking away from the game and you look back on it and you recollect, what is your biggest, you feel, accomplishment when you walk away and you point at it and you're like, that's it, that was special right
there? I think just establishing the culture at Pearl County and even at Smith and Craighead. I mean, we were dominant there. We were dominant, I think there's only one program that has won. I think the Washington junior high team won about, I think it was like 86 games in a row, where we won 77 in a row at Smith and Craighead. So, I mean, we were pretty tough. There were a lot of good players there, football and basketball.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I think the biggest thing is being able to come in and, if not change the culture, at least enhance a productive culture where education was first, being a productive citizen, doing what's right. Being loyal, saying that and doing what you say you're going to do, and always remembering your teammates and always trying to help somebody less fortunate.
Well, that's it, man. That right there, that'll wrap it up. We appreciate you coming in the Boom Boom Room. I think another thing that you ought to be able to do is look back on, especially when we gather, and look back on the guys, man, that you helped raise. And, man, all the guys, man, everybody doing something positive in some way, some form or fashion, man. And that's really a testament to you and the groundwork that you laid. So, man, when we talk about giving flowers, we're going to do it on a bigger platform, but I want to do it here first in the Boom Boom Room. Give your flowers, man. We salute you, Big Mom. We love you. And
well, I appreciate it. I have a question for you.
I'm supposed to ask the questions, man.
Yeah, this is an easy one.
Okay.
How could you pull a firearm in a school before a basketball game and say that you didn't do it with all the ink on your hand?
Hey, man, listen. I had my man J.R. Pratt, man, on the phone before I was getting off the air, and I said, J.R., we're gonna call you tomorrow, man, so you can clarify the story. We called J.R. the next day, man. J.R. didn't answer the phone on me, man. So he leaving me to take it, man. So I'm gonna take the brunt of it, man. Now I did have it on my fingers. I did. I'm going to the grave with it, man. I ain't do it.
Hey, man, but speaking of JR, man, he's doing some great work now as an electrician, about certified electrician now. So who would have thought it, man?
That's wild, man. Well, we appreciate you, Big Mom, man. Enjoy your retirement, man. I know we'll be seeing you mentoring guys still and helping out with MPA and In Full Motion, still getting people academically eligible to go on and follow their dreams in college. That's a great thing also. I know it sure did help me. I only had to take it one time up there on the hill, so it was beautiful for me, and I'd already tested, so that was cool, man. Yeah, that's some great things. So we'll see you in the future, man.
All right, man. Much love.
Love. Appreciate it.